Nothing says election season more plainly than when the parties start rolling out their platforms. The governing Liberals did theirs last month in the provincial budget. The PCs put out a platform last November, but with Patrick Brown's ouster and Doug Ford's taking over, that so-called People's Guarantee is now history, and we'll see whether Ford plans to bring out a fully costed program as he once promised. Meanwhile, this week, the Ontario New Democratic Party added its voice to the fray with its fully costed 97-page document. Let's find out what the NDP has on offer with former NDP Member of Parliament Peggy Nash, now a distinguished visiting professor at Ryerson University, and Robert Benzie, Queen's Park Bureau Chief for the Toronto Star. And we're glad to have you two in those chairs with us this evening here at TVO. I know everybody reads the Star, but for the couple of people who don't, we're going to go through some of the highlights of this, because I know everybody read your piece, Rob. But here we go. Sheldon, if you would, let's put the graphic up. Here are some of the main planks in the NDP platform. They want to cut hydro bills by 30% by bringing Hydro One, that utility, back into public hands. They will provide drug and dental coverage for all Ontarians. They will take on student debt by converting loans to grants. They will increase taxes on people earning more than $220,000 a year and on the most profitable companies, and provide free childcare for families earning less than $40,000 a year. For everybody else, it's an average of $12 a day for childcare. Peggy, to you first. With this platform, do you think the NDP has now more clearly situated itself in its more traditional left-wing position on the political spectrum?
All I can say is I wish we'd had a platform like this to run on federally in the last election.
I'm going to take that as a yes.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Robert,
yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah, I think that compared to, I won't compare it to the 2015 federal platform, but compared to Andrea Horwath's 2014 platform, which was wafer thin and a bit more to the center and even to the right on some policies, this is a traditional NDP platform. It has a lot in there for the base, and they've done their homework.
Do you think, Peggy, that Premier Wynne has made it more difficult for the New Democrats because she has moved what has traditionally been a centrist Liberal Party much more to the left, encroaching on traditional NDP territory, maybe creating some brand confusion for progressives in the province?
Well, I think that, you know, after 15 years of a different kind of Liberal government, which is focused more on austerity and cutbacks and focused on balancing the books, it's clear what the strategy is, which is to move to the left and try to capture those NDP votes. And in the last election, I don't believe that the NDP rose to the occasion and had the appropriate approach, had the appropriate platform. But this time I think they do. And I think for Ontarians that are saying, yes, we want a progressive program we can trust, I think this does the job. And what doesn't seem to get as much attention is the fact that, yes, they're saying they would run modest deficits, but less than half the deficit of the Liberals, and with a clear plan to pay it off that's been fully costed. And so I think there is that security for Ontarians that, yes, it provides more benefits, but it also provides some stability and security.
In fact, Kevin Page, former parliamentary budget officer, you're nodding, you know where I'm going. You want to fill in the blanks here?
He costed out the platform and signed off on it, saying it is doable. And interestingly enough, when Patrick Brown unveiled the People's Guarantee in November 2017, they did the exact same thing and had Kevin Page sign off on it. And it gave their platform, the Tory platform in November, some credibility with those of us in the media and in the political classes, because you say, they've done their homework. The NDP has taken a leaf out of Patrick Brown's book on that front, and I think it was a very smart thing to do. They've costed that platform out, and yes, to Peggy's point, the Liberals are going to run a $6.7 billion deficit this year. The NDP government would run a $3.3 billion deficit this year, and the reason for the difference, mainly, is that the NDP would impose higher corporate taxes and higher taxes on the wealthy. And I think that shows a responsibility on the NDP's part of how they're going to pay for things.
Let's talk about one of the biggest planks in this platform, which is the notion that they want to buy back Hydra One, repatriate it into public hands. Here's what it says in the Change for the Better. An NDP government will take the landmark step of returning Hydro One to public ownership and oversight. The goal is to bring Hydro One back to public ownership within 4 years, which will be fully financed through existing dividends over a period of 8 years or less. I mean, Rob, obvious question is, a lot of people think the toothpaste is out of the tube on this, and you can't do this. What are you hearing?
Well, it's going to be very hard to do. I mean, you could argue that the dumbest thing Kathleen Wynne did as Premier was sell the majority stake in Hydra 1. And you could argue that the dumbest thing that Andrea Horwath could do as Premier is try to buy it back, because it's not clear to me how you'll be able to do that using dividends. And it's not clear to me what the benefit to ratepayers would be, because everyone who really knows anything about Hydro knows that the fact that Hydro 1 is a partially privatized utility is not why Hydro bills are going up. That's just not true.
Peggy, the other concern, I guess, around that plank in the platform is that those dividends from Hydro 1, and even though the province has given up majority share, it still realizes dividends. Those dividends are going to paying for existing programs already. If you're taking that money to buy back Hydro shares, what happens to those other programs?
Well, that money is also costed, so that is taken into account. But remember, as a 47%, I believe it is, shareholder, that money, which is realized today from Hydro, I mean, it also tells you that the province has given up the other money that it has privatized, and it also loses that control. So, I mean, the NDP has spoken with a number, as I understand it, they've spoken with experts in the financial sector who have said, yes, this is not, this is absolutely doable. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but that as shares come up, they can be bought back. And it is absolutely achievable. Why should Ontarians, with all the other costs that they're paying and all the other mistakes that past governments have made with respect to Hydro, why should they be paying for additional profit to go to the private sector when it does mean higher bills for them? So those dividends will go both to reduce Hydro rates now for existing customers, but will also be used to buy back the company in the future.
While you have the floor, I'd like to get you to weigh in on whether or not there's any concern about the fact that with the United States dramatically dropping corporate taxes, theoretically making their businesses more competitive, this platform would purport to raise corporate income taxes and, of course, income taxes on the highest earners as well. Do you not worry about what that might do to businesses in this province?
Listen, you know, Steve, the argument has always been that corporate tax cuts are going to create jobs. I defy anybody to show me where that has actually happened. I know when I was opposition finance critic in Ottawa, the parliamentary budget officer and we were talking about the dead money that was in corporations. They were taking those tax cuts and they weren't reinvesting them because that wasn't the issue for them. What they were looking for was a sense down the road that the economy was going to grow and they were going to have economic stability. I would argue that the NDP platform is looking at providing economic stability, and it's not a dramatic jump in the corporate income tax. It's easily affordable, and for the highest income earners, I mean, can Doug Ford afford to pay a little bit more? Yes, well, I think he can. And I think, you know, those people at the top end and those businesses, I mean, remember, it's only profitable businesses that are paying this tax. They can afford to pay a little bit more. And remember, under the other proposals around the dental plan, Dentacare, and pharmacare, that's going to save companies money as well. So I think that's
okay. You raised Doug Ford, and I want to go to Rob on Doug Ford, because he made a bit of a splash this week when he said that he wanted to eliminate taxes, income taxes for people who are among the lowest income earners in society. The NDP's view is they'll do better if we raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. You've been hunting around. What's the verdict on that?
Well, the NDP and the Liberals are right on that front, in the sense that if someone's wage goes up $1 an hour from $14 to $15, they will have more money in their pocket. Mr. Ford's savings is about it's $817 a year that it would save an average $28,000 a year earner. That's what the Tories estimate. Well, they would make $2,000 a year and more in salary, so it's a net of about $1,100 or $1,200 more in their pocket if they get a raise. Now, the Tories argue that it's the risk to businesses of raising the minimum wage next January 1st to $15 will cost jobs. We haven't really seen the massive job losses that were predicted when it went up from $11.60 to $14 last January 1st, but who knows? I mean, it has been an adjustment for business, and I think that that's the point that Mr. Ford is making, and it is certainly resonating with his supporters for sure.
Sheldon, let me call a bit of an audible here. I want to go to board 3 if we can next, because we want to talk about affordable childcare. The NDP has something fairly significant on offer here. If your household income is under $40,000 a year, you won't have to pay for public, licensed, not-for-profit childcare. And if your household earns more, your fees will be based on ability to pay, with the average cost coming in at $12 per day. That's in the platform Change for the Better. Okay, that's what the NDP suggests. How does that compare to what the Liberals have on offer, Rob?
Well, the Liberals, as of next year, I guess it would start, that they would be free daycare for those with children 2.5 till they go off to junior kindergarten. So say they're 4 or 5 years old. So they'd get free for about 2.5 years, or 1.5 to 2 years. But they'd have to pay the higher cost, of course, from infant care. The NDP plan, it would be much lower in cost. However, the problem with the NDP plan, the way they rolled it out, is they weren't really able to explain. They said it's an average of $12 a day for about 70% of daycare users. But on your household income, let's say your household income in Toronto is $100,000, which is not unremarkable. They weren't able to say what that family would pay. Daycare, I know from personal experience, is a very expensive proposition. It was by far our biggest bill in our house.
17, 20 grand a year, something like that?
Oh yeah, with per child, it'd be about $2 grand a month when they're little. So this $12 a day, if you could deliver on that, and it wasn't maybe means tested, would be more popular. It's more complicated to explain, I think, the NDP plan than the Liberal plan, but the Liberal plan is not as doesn't affect as many people. So,
Peggy, you want a word on that about which plan is preferable?
The NDP plan is preferable.
I mean, let me rephrase. A thoughtful comment about which plan is more preferable?
You know, just to echo Rob's comment, is that one of my kids, I mean, I started fighting for childcare, for universal childcare, when my kids were first born, and one of those kids is now paying about $30,000 a year for very little ones in childcare. Ontario is the most expensive place in the country. Toronto is the most expensive place in Ontario.
Well, it's clearly a huge issue.
It's a huge issue, and I think you know, one of the key differences between these two programs is that the NDP program will roll out immediately. It's going to use the existing infrastructure to start off with in terms of community centers, schools, and it will have a dramatic impact for all preschool
kids. Now that's the point, Rob. Like, the Liberal promise is really for kids who haven't been born yet.
Well, some. I mean, they'd be a year old now.
So is that a
it's a problem, and I mean and Mr. Ford's made light of that on the campaign trail, saying Kathleen Wynne is writing checks and making promises for babies that haven't been born yet, and it's a good line, and it has some traction for sure. Now, Peggy's right though. This is a huge issue. The Tories under Patrick Brown had a pretty progressive plan on tax credits for families to help them pay for childcare. We don't yet know what the Tories under Mr. Ford will be doing, but if they stick to Mr. Brown and Mr. Brown's path on that front, then we're going to see childcare as a major issue in an election in Ontario, which we really haven't had. I guess you could argue in the 2007 election, when the Liberals promised full-day kindergarten, was really the last time that we talked about this at length in a provincial campaign. And it's a huge economic issue. It's a huge family issue, and it's about getting more women in the workforce, getting people back to work, more flexibility in their lives. So it's a huge and important concern.
Let us put this is a terrible pun, but we're calling this a platform with teeth, because we're going to talk about comparing two dental care programs here. The Liberal offering, which was already announced, is an Ontario drug and dental program capped at $400 per person, $600 per couple, plus $50 for each child in the family. The NDP plan has all employers providing dental benefits to workers and their families. People in part-time or casual jobs will be included. Employers can use a workplace benefits plan or sign up for the newly created public plan. And again, I mean, the Liberals and New Democrats really are treading on a lot of the same territory here. Admittedly with different particulars, but philosophically coming from the same place. So again, I don't know if you want to get into the particulars here, but is there brand confusion given that these two parties are both trying to attract voters with dental care plans, which at the end of the day may confuse people as to which one's better? Well,
I think it's a good point that people may get confused. I think the key point is people need dental care. And it's something that people have been saying for a long time. It was part of the vision of Tommy Douglas when we began Medicare, was to have a public dental care program. And all I can say is that with the NDP program, from what I've seen, everybody is going to have access to it. And for people who today are not in the workforce, or those who are in casual part-time jobs without benefits, that would be a huge thing, because the NDP would be treating it as a health benefit. So anyone who needs dental care in order to stay healthy, you're going to be covered for basic care.
Okay. The other side of the story is you're now obligating businesses to take on more responsibilities, which they may simply not want to do or be able to do, Rob. What do you hear about that?
Well, some people say this is another form of payroll tax. I think it's something like 1/3 of Ontarians don't have any dental coverage. So it's a significant amount of working people who don't have that, don't get, to Peggy's point, the health care that they need. I think the NDP plan is very well thought out. I'm not sure it'll ever actually happen, but they clearly did a lot of work on this. The Liberal plan, to my viewing, seemed a lot more ad hoc, and it seemed like they got wind that the NDP was doing something, and they figured, well, we better just throw something in the budget. $600 per family is not, or per couple is not that much,
$50 per kid.
Yeah, $50 per kid. It's not fillings. I know my kid's dentist is down the street, and it's luckily the Toronto Star has good dental coverage, because it's $1,000 for fillings at my kid's dentist. So it's
Are you
it's
kidding?
not cheap. That's a fancy dentist.
I should say so.
Midtown Toronto. But he's a good guy.
But, I think they're, from what I understand, the plan that employers would be signing on to is a public plan. And as we know, with the pharmacare proposal, that any time you pool benefits like that and have public insurance, it is so much more affordable. And that's why the offer is that for those companies that are now offering private insurance, you may want to switch to this public plan, because it will be more affordable.
Well, 1% of payroll apparently, and we should also remember that there are probably a lot of people in this province who don't have dentists, who go to the emergency room of their hospital when their mouth starts hurting, and as we all know, that is the most expensive place in the province to get treated, as opposed to a dentist's office, which would be less. Okay, I think we got time for one more thing here, and that is on whether or not the Liberals and New Democrats are going to have their hearts broken by post-secondary students. Both parties are trying to attract the post-secondary vote, and Rob, as you and I both know, they don't vote.
They don't.
Students don't vote.
They voted in the 2015 federal election.
And we know why.
Because they wanted marijuana, and it's 420 today, so we can throw that out there. No. But yeah, will students show up to vote on June 7th when marijuana is not a campaign issue? I don't know. I'm not sure that they will, even though, yes, the NDP and the Liberals have thrown a lot of free tuition and or OSAP grants and things like that at students. But
yeah, Peggy, they're offering here, the NDP is offering here to basically turn loans into grants, and the interest not having to be repaid. Is that going to be enough to get students out to vote?
So not every student goes to post-secondary education, but for those
or needs OSAP grants, for that matter.
Or needs OSAP grants. But for those that do, again, we have the highest tuition fees in the country. People have taken on a huge amount of debt. And I think for those who would use this, it's something to get off your butt and go out and vote for. And for those who say, wait, I already paid off a lot of interest in my loan, well, you can get credit for that going back a couple of years. So even if you've been paying this thing, it's a heck of a burden for people starting off in life to have this on their back. When you want to be able to take some chances and try new things and start your career, do some interesting things, travel, you're kind of saddled with this debt.
Let me save the last 30 seconds
I hope
here.
they get out to vote.
I hear you. Let me save the last 30 seconds for Rob. In as much as I'd like you to speak to the notion of, with this platform, the Liberals and the New Democrats are both proposing to be the champions of the progressive voter in this province. Are the Tories laughing all the way to the bank as a result? Well,
the polls certainly seem to suggest that if the election were held today, the Progressive Conservatives would romp to a majority victory. But we know that elections aren't decided till the campaign, and things can change during a campaign. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of territory. It's interesting to me. I was thinking about this last night. If we have two left-leaning platforms in the NDP and the Liberals, we have a right-leaning platform, presumably from the Tories. A progressive, conservative People's Guarantee platform down the middle would probably be the most successful in terms of something that could appeal to both sides. We have a kind of a polarized situation. I don't think it's going to work out that way. I don't think I don't think Patrick Brown's going to come back and run.
I'm writing the headline for the Star tomorrow. Patrick Brown coming back, says Brother Benzie.
But we all know that Ontarians are at their core centrists. So I think there's some, maybe Mr. Ford tacks more to the center as we get closer to Election Day, but so far we haven't seen any evidence of that.
Stay tuned, everybody. Peggy Nash, Robert Benzie, good to see you both. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario, helping businesses stay on the right side of change with strategic thinking, insightful decisions, and business leadership. Are you on the right side of change? Ask an Ontario CPA.